Welcome to JNTV Insight. We start off the show with a discussion on meteorology. I'm here with the director of the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, Mr. Jeffrey Spooner. Now, hi, Mr. Spooner. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Please explain to us what happens at the Meteorological Service.
At the Meteorological Service, basically what we do is study the atmosphere, and with whatever information that we gather from the atmosphere, we use that to project what we are to expect in the future with respect to weather. We also use that information to, over a long period of time, to compile the climate, which will then inform how we look at climate change and how the climate is changing. So weather is the now, what is occurring now, while climate is a long-term study of weather.
Okay, now give us an idea of what happens inside the office. So most persons go to work, turn the computer on, and start to send emails. What do your employees do on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, on a day-to-day basis, and I might start by just explaining the different sections that we have in the Meteorological Service. We have 3 branches in the Meteorological Service. The Administrative and Support branch, which is located at the head office here in Kingston. We have the Weather branch, which is situated across the country, really. We have different offices across the country, which I'll explain in brief in a short time. And then we have the Climate branch. Right? So I'll start first with at head office, where we have the Administrative and Support branch. And that speaks for itself. Provide the accounting, the personnel, that section of the service. And then also at the head office, we have the Climate branch that really looks at the long-term weather data. So there we have, for example, the data acquisition section that deals with the information that is coming from our over 250 rainfall stations across the country, our 50 automatic weather stations across the country, our 20 plus climatological stations across the country. So we have a network of stations across the country that will feed information into the climatological section, and that data acquisition section is really responsible for maintaining that network. We then have the data processing section within the Meteorological Service that look now at the data gathering, the data integrity. They do the quality control of the data analysis, the data archiving, and then this will definitely be in our database. A continuous database has been built over the years. Then we have now the applied meteorology section that uses this data for applied meteorology. So for example, if there's a construction housing, say, development taking place, they will consult with us to know what is the climatological information with respect to temperature, with respect to rainfall, with respect to humidity that is required, for this development, to be sustainable, really. Things like, for example, information that deals with legal issues, that deal with insurance issues. These information we do provide there at the climatological section. There is also there the IT section that deals with really the information and the IT needs for the entire service. And in that section as well, we do have a small GIS section. So we have all this information coming in, is overlaid, and the information is passed out as required. The Climate branch, until recently, late last year, was also responsible for the coordinating of Jamaica's response with respect to climate change. So we actually had the responsibility of participating in all international negotiations with respect to climate change and climate change activities. So for example, the UN Convention, the Kyoto Protocol, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was really our responsibility to participate in all these negotiations and also to ensure that Jamaica's positions are taken on board in all these negotiations.
Now help us to understand, for instance, the naming of storms and hurricanes. How does that happen, and who decides whether it's Storm Crystal or Storm Jeffrey or Hurricane Jeffrey?
Okay, the naming of the storms, these are done at the annual Hurricane Committee meeting that is held annually throughout what we call Region 4 of the World Meteorological Organization regions. There are 6 regions, and Jamaica falls in Region 4. So the naming of the hurricanes are named for, well, the current year plus 5 years in advance.
Okay.
And we start with, for example, this year we'll start with a male name, and the next one will be a female. So it's a male-female rotation in the naming of the systems. And once a system causes any significant loss of life and damage, that system or that name is retired and replaced. So, for example, we had Hurricane Sandy in 2012 that caused a significant loss of lives and damage. And, you know, Sandy was retired. So we'll never have another Sandy. We'll never have another Gilbert as well.
Right.
Gilbert has been retired since 1989. Gilbert has been retired.
Tell us a little bit about the National Forecasting Center. What happens there?
Okay, the National Forecasting Center is also a section within the weather branch, and there is where all the forecasting for Jamaica takes place. And there we also keep a 24-hour watch, especially during the period 1st of June to the 30th of November during the hurricane season. And there we keep a continuous watch, both from surface to the upper levels of the atmosphere, and from where we can see with our eyes out to where the satellite can bring information to us. So therefore we track whatever systems that are approaching Jamaica, especially during the hurricane season, and keep a track of these systems as they approach and impact us at the forecasting center.
Okay. Explain to us the process we use when we're tracking, say, from a tropical depression to a full-blown hurricane. What does that process look like?
Okay, the process of tracking any system that develops and traverses our waters is that they go through stages. So we have a tropical depression stage, and if this system strengthens, it is classified as a tropical storm. Strengthens to wind speed of the order of 62 kilometers per hour, or 38 miles per hour, greater than those values, it is classified as a tropical storm. And if it reaches wind speed of 119 kilometers per hour or 74 miles per hour, it's classified as a hurricane. And once these systems move closer and closer to Jamaica, then we'd have to now initiate different types of warning systems. So, for example, if a hurricane or a tropical storm is approaching Jamaica, we would then issue a tropical storm or a hurricane watch that indicate that the system poses a threat. The onset of the system poses a threat to Jamaica within 48 hours. As it moves closer, a tropical storm or a hurricane warning is issued if the system poses a threat to Jamaica within 36 hours or less. We also have the Fishermen Action Plan, which is a 72-hour action plan that we activate for the fisher folk of the Pedro Bank and Moran Keys. And that will also ensure their safety, give them enough time to come back to shore, protect also their properties during the hurricane season.
Now, there are a lot of times when persons hear these tropical warnings and storm watch and all of this, and they say, oh, don't pay no mind, unless them say hurricane, don't move. What would you like to say to that citizen who pretty much attempts to ignore the warnings coming out of your office?
I would say to them that take it seriously. It does not take a hurricane to cause a significant loss of life or significant damage to properties. As a matter of fact, Sandy is an imminent reminder. In 2012, Sandy was a minimal Category 1 hurricane that really caused a lot of damage and significant hardship to us here in Jamaica. Even a tropical depression can produce more than enough rainfall that will cause flash flooding, that will cause riverine flooding, that will cause coastal flooding. So take all the warnings coming from the Meteorological Service seriously. My advice as well, now we're in the start of, or we're approaching the start of the hurricane season, and right throughout the season we should all be prepared. So I'll really advise all household every single individual to have a hurricane plan. Know what to put in your first aid kit. Know, for example, your escape route or your evacuation route. Know who will pick up your children from school in the event that, you know, the rains really start to pour and you can't get there. So have plans in place in order to be safe during the hurricane season.
Now, for those of us who want more information from the Meteorological Service, where can we find you on social media, telephone numbers, websites, that sort of thing?
Okay, the Meteorological Service is easy to find, really. And at head office, at 65 3/4 Halfway Tree Road, the telephone number there is 929-3700. But for the Operational Forecasting Center at the Norman Manley International Airport, that telephone number is 92-48055. We can be reached as well on the internet at the www.metservice.gov.jm.
All right, thank you very, very much. We are being warned, and so at the end of the day, you must make sure that a stitch in time saves 9, as they say. So if you prepare, it's going to save you a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of worry and heartbreak at the end of the process. No warning is to be taken lightly. You heard it straight from Jeffrey Spooner, Director at the Meteorological Service of Jamaica. Stay tuned. We have more to come when we return.